Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Tara and I make videos about digital planning and different ways that you can get creative with your iPad. So if that sounds like something that's of interest to you, feel free to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so that you never miss a video. That all being said, let's go ahead and jump into the purpose of today's video, which is going to be showing you guys all of the different ways that I like to use my elements in Goodnotes in order to save me time. I'm really excited to finally be sharing this video because I feel like throughout the last couple of years on this channel, I've done a lot of like little hacks here and there, and they're kind of just spread out throughout all of my videos. And so I think this will be a major time saver if you are somebody who is enjoying using these time saving hacks, but like would like to not go searching through all of my past videos. So I've gathered them all together. Here's some really great ways to save yourself some time. And I'd also like to encourage you to think about the whole process of how I'm doing this and how you can create your own in a creative way as well. Because honestly, I know like when they came out with elements, they were really just kind of like more stickers, I guess, that you could use. And I didn't really see the major benefit of it. And I think everyone probably uses them differently. But for me, it has been where I save all of my time saving hacks. Because the nice thing about elements is you can save things that are handwriting, you can save things that are your highlighter, you can save things that are images, or you can also save things that are like shapes and stuff that you build in Goodnotes. And also like text boxes, or really anything that you make in here, you can combine them all together even and save them as one element. And to me, that is really what has helped me so much in saving time. So that's what I want to encourage you guys to do. I've skipped ahead to December because right now it is only September, and I figure this will be just a clean slate for us to work with, and I'll show you guys all of my little hacks that I like to use. I also want to let everyone know that I will leave timestamps down below, so you'll be able to kind of skip around in case you already know some of these from watching my videos. So to start off, let's go ahead and just begin with the easiest thing, which is creating a background color element. So the simplest way to do that is to just grab your lasso tool, and as long as you have no stickers and no handwriting and no text boxes or anything anywhere, it really doesn't matter all that much where you end up circling, but just as long as it's a space that has nothing underneath it and it's just the background color. So you can just grab a little shape. Does not have to be a square, does not have to be a perfect shape at all. It will automatically make it a square for you. And you'll just tap and then tap take screenshot. And then from here, you can hit this little share and export button. And all we're gonna do is just copy this. So now we can tap on the screen and we can paste it. So now we've got this background color element. And as you can see, anywhere that we put it, it's just going to cover up what's underneath it. So you could cover up the entire calendar if you wanted to. Not that that makes a whole lot of sense, but you know, in theory, and you wouldn't be able to see anything that's underneath. You just have a blank slate. So I like to use this. One, I just like to save it. So typically I'll save it as a square, but realistically, if you feel like you're going to use a rectangle more often and you know that there's like a time that you're going to insert it the most times, then you can size it to that one already and save it. Realistically, it doesn't matter because you can grab these edges and you can shift it however. So I'm just gonna leave it as a square, but you do you. And you'll just tap on this and tap again, and then just tap add element. We're gonna create a new collection today. So I'm just gonna call it my like go-to elements. We're just gonna name it go-to. There. So we've got our plain background color element that we can use to customize anywhere in the planner that we want to. So this would work obviously for any planner, no matter what color planner you have. You just take a screenshot of the background element and now you have the ability to customize. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna build a background piece specifically that will cover up any of the extra information that already exists in the planner that we want to customize. So for example, I'm gonna tap on this one and I'm gonna duplicate this again. So we've already covered up the title, and we can also cover up the edges here. Now this is only two pieces, and it's pretty simple to just do that on your own. You don't necessarily need to save it, but depending on what your layout looks like, what kind of planner you're actually working in, maybe it does save you a lot of time doing this all together. So what I would recommend doing is putting them together like that, and then grabbing your lasso tool and just making sure that you have images turned on. Because we pasted those, they are now images. So we're just going to select the two images that are here, and we are going to add them as an element. So we'll add it to our go-to folder, and that's what we'll do for our monthlies. Let's go ahead and come into one of our weeklies. So I'm just gonna tap on here and open up a weekly plan. And previously, in former versions of this planner, previous years, I had like more information on like the sides here, and I needed a block that was gonna cover a lot of what was up here and a lot that was on this side as well. And so I had a more complex layout here. However, now the way that this particular planner is set up, I really only need one piece. So I'm going to paste that same element that we were playing with before, and I'm just gonna make it cover this whole edge here. Now I could save it at this size if I wanted to, so then the element is automatically there and ready. I could also paste another one of these, and let's say maybe I want it to cover up the little December piece there, and then I can put my own little custom sticker. That's one way to do it. So now that I've combined these two, I'm just gonna do the same thing I did before. So with my lasso tool and images turned on, we're just going to select both of these pieces, and we're going to add them as an element in our go-to folder. Now, the next thing we're gonna do is set up a blank slate for our dailies. So I'm just gonna pick a random day here, and we're just gonna do the same thing, but this one's a little bit more complex. So let's go ahead and paste in here, and you can choose to do this however you would like, but my plan is I want to put basically one element that's gonna cover up all of these, but as a bunch of separate elements or separate images here. So we're gonna just do this copy and paste thing like a bunch of times. So I've got this one here, and if you want, you can zoom in, but we're gonna put that one there. I'm gonna tap on this and duplicate it. And then I'm gonna drag this down, and I'm gonna cover up breakfast. Okay, and now this one, because it's the same size for each of these, I'm just going to duplicate them again. So we'll cover up lunch, duplicate, cover up dinner, and that one needs to be moved up a little. Just try to get it in the right place. Again, zoom in if you need to, or, you know, if it makes you more comfortable, you can size it up just a tiny bit. It's not gonna make a massive difference. And then you can duplicate it one more time and cover up the last part there. Okay, I'm going to duplicate this again, cover up the date. I'm going to paste one more time, and I can cover up the center calendar. Now, if you know, like I pretty much, no matter how I customize my planner, I almost always have to have my center calendar here with my times. You can choose to cover up every single piece or none of them at all, but it's really completely up to you. The goal here is just that you are able to quickly customize everything. So that's really why I do all of this. I like to utilize the fact that everything is digital in order to save myself time and still do the parts of planning that I really enjoy, the creative part, without having to deal with all the tedious stuff. It's kind of my motto. Enjoy the creative part and let the digital side handle the tediousness. All right, so this one needs to be a little bit bigger. Okay, we're gonna duplicate this one. This one's gonna have to be a little taller. Okay, and then paste and put this one here, and we're almost done. So once we've got that in place, we can choose to do the heading up here as well for December. Okay, so the next thing we can do is just save all of this as an element. We're gonna put that in our go-to folder. Okay, so I'm actually going to delete this right now, and I'm gonna show you how I would use that one. So I'll come to my elements, and it'll be the most recent one, but of course you guys have also seen I created that folder. So this is the first one we made, the second, third, and the fourth one. If you're looking at it, you can actually see that they look off-white, so it's a little bit easier to tell when you're looking at it, but I think on the screen through the camera lens, you might not be able to see it as well, but you can definitely tell on the screen. And you're just gonna grab that and put it in there and just carefully align it. And once you get it aligned, there we go, that's perfect. I can't actually see where anything is, but if I tap it with the element tool, it's gonna grab everything as one, so you can move it all together. If you wanna move any of the pieces individually, you can grab your image tool. So using the image tool, now let's say that I know for sure I wanna do my meal tracking. Well, I can just delete these. So it just saves me some time from having to customize. So maybe I'm like, okay, I definitely want to include this as well, right? Although I know for one of our future steps that I want to include this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And everything else is good to be covered up. So for me and my own personal preferences, month to month, it would probably be easiest for me to save this as an element. So I am just going to do that just for the sake of doing it. And I'm gonna add that one to my go-to folder. Okay, now we're gonna get into some of the more fun and colorful parts. So let's go ahead and jump into December. So all of the links and everything still work. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna create a sprint. Basically, what I've been doing, if you've been watching my Plan With Me videos this year, is I've been breaking my month into 2-month sprints. So I'll show you how I've been doing that in a way that I can just duplicate month after month. So we're gonna come to our pen tool, and I have, let me test the size. I think this will work. I'm okay with it, but you can also make it bigger if you want to. So it's 1.3 right now. And I am gonna leave it, but like I said, you can make it bigger. And I'm just gonna go with the colors that I currently have. I'm not super fussed about adjusting much of the colors into something specific for December, because this is just for example purposes. So what we're gonna do is we can draw a perfect square here. And then if you just hold, it's gonna snap into a square. And I probably shouldn't have called it a perfect square, but what we're gonna do is grab our shape tool here and tap on this. And now we can just drag it to match perfectly with those lines. If you want, you can, of course, zoom in and just make sure that everything looks like it's in place. So I can see here, let's undo that move there. I'm gonna fix these up again. Now I had zoomed in before and realized that I had made a mistake, but I accidentally tapped off of it. So I just had to resize those again, but everything looks good. So now I'm gonna tap off. And one thing that you can do is you can come into your settings here and you can turn off the fill color so that this green isn't there on the inside. Unless you like it like that, totally up to you. So what I am gonna do is I'm just going to erase that. I have found sometimes Goodnotes will like put it back. It doesn't really need to be there, but I don't know why Goodnotes does that. So in those cases, I'll just erase it. Or if it does keep happening and it's really bothering you, then you can just remake the element with this setting off, and then you won't run into that issue. So I'm just going to erase this. And now what I'm gonna do temporarily, I'm going to take my lasso tool and turn handwriting on, and I'm just going to move this handwriting down. And then I am going to grab my highlighter tool. So with our highlighter tool, let's see how big this is. Okay, we definitely want a bigger size. So let's try our biggest highlighter size, which is 7.7 millimeters. And we're just going to draw a straight line. You can hold, you can also make sure that your setting is on where it draws in a straight line. But as you can probably see, just as well as I can, this does not fill that whole space. So what you will have to do in this case is, with handwriting selected, select this part and resize it. One of the good things is it seems Goodnotes has fixed its issue where when you rotate, it never goes back to straight. I don't know, just some obnoxious issue that they've always had, and it's gone now. So that is incredibly exciting. But you're just going to size this up until it fills that space. So it might take a couple tries, but that looks really good. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna move this over, line it up again. And now we're going to take our eraser and our precision eraser, and we're just going to erase away. So I have my auto deselect on, so we're going to turn that off so that I can erase more. But basically, that's all we're going to do here. We are just going to erase away and then erase away the extra here and do the same on the other side. And then once you get to this part, you can use a bigger eraser. Okay, and now, of course, if you want, you can just save this as its own element, which I am because it might come in handy. Then, of course, we want to put this back. So make sure everything is lined up. Okay, and the last thing we're going to do is just draw a straight line across here. So we need to draw like this, and then there we go. Now, if I zoom in here, I can see the highlighter is on top, and I don't want that. So what I'm gonna do is carefully just grab these two pieces, so not the highlighter. So if you move it down, you see you've grabbed the highlighter. We don't wanna do that. I'm just gonna undo. And in fact, let's just cut this and then paste it back on top. Okay, and now this is on top. everything looks perfect. Let's just check again. Everything down here is lined up. Excellent. Now, we could be done from here. And I usually am done from here because I'll use my stickers to color the dates. However, you could also do date dots like this. And so in that case, you would just take your highlighter. The nice thing about the highlighter is that when you write over text, somehow Goodnotes makes it go behind the text. So basically what I'm saying is if I draw a circle here, it's gonna go in front. If I draw a circle with the highlighter, it's gonna go behind the text. However, if I draw it with the pen and I just scribble here, it stays in front. So then you can't see the letter. So I always recommend when we're doing these like color changing elements, when there's elements of your planner that already have text, then I would just use the highlighter tool. So this is one option, right? You can take the one circle here and you can just duplicate this and put them in place. I'm going to select both of these and duplicate them. And you can go through your entire planner this way. So I can duplicate these again. Let's just delete that third one. And then you can duplicate them again. And right, you can do the whole thing this way. Now I would probably personally go through and make sure that they are all perfectly in line. But that's totally up to you. So the nice thing about doing this is that you never really have to add in date dot stickers ever again. You could just make sure you have handwriting selected and you could just select, let's say we want to keep these 2 weeks a certain color, then you can just change the color. Let's make them this color and you want these 2 weeks a certain color. Okay, so just select them, tap color and change the color. So it's just a really nice and easy way to recolor without having to add in stickers all the time. So I know the colors here aren't super appealing, but I think you get the idea. So you can also change these colors anytime you want. Just tap the color, find a color you like, and change them all to that color. Now, what I also like to do is take these, I'm gonna do it like this, and we are going to duplicate. And I see I also grab this element here that I don't need. So let's grab our image tool and tap on that white one and just delete that. Let's come back to our shape tool. We just duplicated this one. It doesn't have to be that big. So let's grab all of these and bring them over. And I made sure to do it over here on this edge where I know I didn't have like a white element. And basically we want to make sure that these stay in line, because that's going to help us make everything seem more complete. And I need to grab these again carefully. And you can see I grabbed that white element that's underneath, but that's okay. I'll just fix that later. And once you get it to a spot on the edge that feels like good spacing, like I would try to make it equal with the other side, just so that it looks like it was intentional. You're going to make sure that the top and the bottom are in line. And now we can come back with our shape tool and put a comfortable gap there. We can also use our shape tool and tap on this line here and it'll show us this blue dot down at this end, and you're just gonna drag it down here and just try to keep it in a straight line the best that you can. So I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, just make sure that that's straight. Okay, and then the only other thing that we have to do here would be to take this highlighter and erase the part that we don't need. So what I'm gonna do is take my lasso tool and my handwriting only, and I am going to grab the highlighter here and we're just gonna move this up, and you'll see that it brought this one with it even though we erased that part. So the reasoning for that is because it technically extended further down. So what I'm gonna do is just gonna tap off once and erase it. So even though we erased it, the like extension of where that line existed still shows through. So I'm just gonna grab down here because I know this one is still extending further beyond, but this one wouldn't be that far. And we're just gonna do that same thing with our precision eraser. And we're just gonna line that up and do our best to erase away in that space. And then you can, grab a bigger eraser and you can just erase away all the rest here. But be careful not to erase the part of handwriting that we used before. I realize this is definitely going to be a bit of a longer video. So like I said, there are timestamps if you need to just find parts that you find useful. Okay, so now what we're going to do is just using our lasso tool, move this back down. Okay, and we are going to grab all of the handwriting here because I can see I have a little bit of an issue right here. So I'm just going to take my small eraser and erase this, and then we can move everything back. Okay, perfect. So I'm really happy with this so far. So now what we're going to do is with our lasso tool, we are going to come in here and again, make sure images is off because there is an element underneath here. And we are just going to try to carefully grab just this one line. Now I think I definitely still have my highlighter, so I am going to move this back up and then just grab this and duplicate it. And I'm gonna need probably 3 of these. So what I'm gonna do is just duplicate it again. So let's just duplicate, drag it down, and duplicate again. Okay, so we're gonna put this one in place, all right? And then what we're gonna do is basically, they're 2-week sprints, right? So I know I need this 2-week period, this 2-week period. So this particular layout will only need 2 of these. So what I can do is just actually delete this one. However, you could also instead imagine that you might need 3 because some weeks you might need 3. And so you could do this sort of proactively so that you don't have to bother with like duplicating or doing any extras. And so I will just, let's say that the first week of this month is part of one of last month's sprints. Then that first sprint ends after the 7th. The second one will end after the 21st. And then the third sprint will end sometime in January. So you can just put them there like that. So the only thing that we're missing here in order to fully complete our monthly setup is the word sprints. So the way that I like to do that is I like to use my font that I have here in my planner. So this is one of my fonts. It's called Cheeky Collegian. I will link it below if you want to check it out. If you have my planner, it came as a download as part of that, but I'm just going to write the word sprints. Now, you can see by looking at this is definitely bigger than that one. So what I'm going to do is just triple tap this and then grab the text size tool here. And I'm just going to size this down. And for me, I'm going to turn on text boxes only here. And I like to bring it over top of a similar letter. So like I've aligned the S's here and they look pretty much exact. So for me, that tells me that it is definitely close enough to that size that I am happy. So I'm just gonna bring that text over here and center it best as I can and leave it at that. Now, if you are super nitpicky about making sure that it is exactly in the center, what I like to do is grab my text tool, grab the text here, and then you can drag these blue dots out. So I'm gonna drag them to where the line begins at the inside there. Okay, and now we can just make sure that we make this a center aligned text box. And now we are guaranteed to keep that in the center. So that is another little hack, super helpful. Okay, so the only thing I would do, like I said, if I wasn't using my stickers is I would turn handwriting on here and I would just make sure that all of these are kind of centered over the numbers. And once I was completely happy with that look, I would come and make sure that images, text boxes, and handwriting are turned on because we have all of them included in this particular layout. And we would just select everything here and then tap and add element. So we'll put this in our go-to. And so now any month we can just set up our month with like the click of a button and then you just adjust your colors and add some cute stickers and you are good to go. It is such a time saver. So definitely one of my favorite ways to customize my planner to match my stickers every month. Okay, now let's go ahead and jump into the next one, which is gonna be our weekly setup. So this one is gonna be less involved. You could do the exact same thing with the outline like we did for the previous planner. And so I will let you guys do that if that's something that you wanna do, but I'm gonna show you what I typically use for mine, where I don't use the outline. And so instead, what I'll do is I like to just use my highlighter tool and do very similarly what we had done before. So I'm going to take the biggest size here and I am just going to draw a straight line. And I know that it's not thick enough, even at its biggest size, to fill that whole space. So I'm actually gonna make it a little bit smaller here. And what we're gonna do is take our lasso tool, make sure it's just handwriting now, and we are going to resize this. So again, I'm so excited I don't have to worry about it rotating on me. And the big thing here that you want to do is you just want to make sure that where it starts to curve, it is beyond the length of the calendar here. Okay, so I've got that, so I can definitely erase that and just cut that off, but you'll see I'm not finished here. Now, I do think it could be kind of cute to do like all of the days with only like a half rounded color. So you could erase all the way up to here and then like duplicate it and make something cute that way. Like I said, get creative, have some fun. But after seeing this, I'm like, ooh, that's kind of adorable. I do like that. But what we're gonna do is we're actually going to take our shape tool here and tap on this, and we're just going to extend this line. You just wanna keep it as straight as you can, but just make sure that the curve is beyond where the calendar begins. Okay, so perfect. Now we're gonna come in with our precision eraser like we've been doing, and we're just going to erase away right here and grab our bigger eraser and just finish that off, and then do the same down here at the bottom. Okay, and you can be super picky about it if you want, but yeah, no one's gonna notice. So get it as close to where you're happy. And then we're just gonna do effectively the same exact thing for this small little space here for Sunday. So we're just gonna go like this, and we are going to resize it until it fits in that space. Just using that as a guide. And we are just going to grab our precision eraser and erase away. You can zoom in, get it more perfect. And you could just leave it at that, or you can go in and fill in the dots as well. So I'm going to fill in the dots. So we're gonna use our highlighter tool and in the biggest size, and we're just gonna tap one tap. Instead of trying to like color it in, if you just tap, it'll give you that perfect circle. And then we can use our lasso tool and do the same thing where we just resize it and get it to fit in there. And that's perfect. So now we can just take this and duplicate it, bring it on down and put it in this one. And we're just gonna do that to fill the week. So I'm going to take 2 of these and duplicate them just for the sake of time. And you may need to just line them up one by one. And we'll just duplicate these. And we're just going to duplicate this one. Okay, and now that's perfect. So you can choose to do this however you'd like. You can copy just this part here. I like to always have this saved. And then from month to month, if you want to duplicate it to make the color darker, you definitely can, just depending on what color you go with from your palette. I'm gonna add this element. Now, the other thing that I might recommend doing in this case, if you really wanna save yourself even more time, something fun you could possibly do, totally up to you, but you can also change the color here. So I'm actually gonna grab my shape tool, and I'm gonna take my smaller pen here, and I'm just going to draw a rectangle, and I'm going to keep the fill on actually. And why don't we keep it bigger? It's gonna make something a little bit easier in a second. So what I'm gonna do is just draw this, and it's got that fill now in the center. And so what I'm gonna do is take my eraser, and I'm gonna turn on stroke eraser, and I'm just going to kind of nudge this edge here, and it's going to erase away that whole lining. So then you can duplicate this and line it up, and you can duplicate it again, and it can be hard to see and not always totally perfect. So it's up to you how many times you want to do it, but that's a nice way to get some color. Just a really easy way to sort of customize that space. If you think that you'll use that, feel free to do it. You can also do the same thing we did with the highlighter as well. Or you could even do it with the pen tool and then add text over top. However you want to customize this, totally up to you. I usually end up using a highlighter to mark the week, and I'll go from Monday to Sunday, or Monday to Saturday, and then my little Sunday. And so, yeah, I could keep this, all of this, as one element. So then again, all I have to do is just go in and change my colors and add some decorative stickers. So now let's add this as an element. And so before I do that, I need to make sure that I have images turned on. And if you did add any text boxes, make sure your text boxes are turned on. And now we'll grab everything, because now this also has our background cover up piece in there as well, so that we don't have to do this in multiple steps. So we're just going to put that in our go-to folder. So now you'll be able to see if I add that element in one more time, it's got all of the pieces, and you just line it up and change your colors. And there you go. Sometimes you may find it's hard to get it exactly in line, in which case you can just go in with your lasso tool and like slightly adjust things. But in my opinion, that's so much faster than like redoing the whole thing. Okay, so that is definitely one of my big tips. I do want to kind of start wrapping this up, but there's so many more fun hacks that I want to be able to show you guys. So I'll probably do a part 2, but let's make our way through just a couple more. So these are the basics, right? These are the ones that I use pretty much every single time that you see me do a plan with me video. I'll give you a couple little bonus ones for this, and then I will do a more involved one in a different month that has even more elements. So I don't want this video to be like an hour long. There are so many of these that I could show you guys. And I know it's a little bit tedious to sit here and do this all the time. And that is precisely why I like to just do it the once and save it, because now I don't have to do it even once a month, right? I just do it one time and I can use it forever for as long as I have that planner. Such a time saver. Okay, we're gonna jump into our daily setup. So let's come back. We were doing this on the 2nd, and this is going to be probably the last major one for the day. And like I said, I'll try to squeeze in a couple little bonuses. So the big thing that I like to do here is I just like to use handwriting. Now, there are a lot of ways that you can use like images and stuff in here too and take more screenshots and make it more complex. But if you're looking for something that's going to be time saving and kind of get you where you need to be when it comes to planning, this is my favorite way to do this. So what I'm going to do is I am going to grab my pen tool and we are going to turn our fill color off and we're just going to draw our rectangle. Now you could make this thicker if you want. It's honestly up to you, but I'm just gonna tap on this. Doesn't have to be thick if you don't want it to. It's truly whatever makes you happy and suits your style. But I just like to be able to make everything match my stickers. That's a big thing for me. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is draw another one here. And I'm not worrying about the colors right now. And I'm just gonna draw that shape and then grab my shape tool. And the fastest way is to just adjust 2 corners, right? Because if I adjust this corner, it's gonna adjust these 2. And if I adjust this corner, it's gonna adjust these 2 edges. So that really speeds up the process. Okay, and so we're just gonna do this one more time and then just hold, grab our shape tool and adjust it. And then we're also going to do this very last one here and then use our shape tool to snap these into place. Okay, now you could just leave it like this. What many of you have seen me do, if you've watched any of my videos, is I've had fun using like brush strokes in order to make it a little bit more creative. So one thing that I have gone and done is I've taken my shape tool here and I've brought this down about halfway through the lettering and this one inside like this, and it gives, I don't know, it makes everything a little bit less blocky and there's like a little more space and it just is really nice. I don't know, I like it. Okay. And then what I'll do is actually come in here with my image tool and I'll grab any of these like blank ones that I have and I can move them down underneath here so I don't have to bother with relayering. And I could take all of these if I want to. And again, I don't have to bother with relayering. And I don't know, it's not all that necessary to do it this way, but I can get annoyed having to relayer things. So I'll just do it like this. And then these obviously need to be covered up, but the thing is I'm not as worried because they don't have anything in front of them or behind them. And so there's no like relayering that I have to worry about. So I can just add these in and I can just do this as one. So it doesn't have to be 4. Now, if you were thinking that you wanted to keep this not as 1, but as 3 in case you did want to like bring back your meal options, then I would have duplicated all 4 of these blocks at once, moved the originals, and then move this back. A pretty simple hack in order to get where you want to go again. So I'm gonna leave this as is, but that's because I usually don't end up using my meal planning here. So I'm not super worried about that. Okay, so what I am gonna do now is I'm just gonna grab some fun stickers. So I have been using, and you can of course use whatever works for you, whatever makes you happy, but I have been using, turn on images, okay, these 3, and just copying these brush strokes and bringing them over here. These 4 I meant to say, and then I'll just fill them in the space here. So yeah, and again, the color doesn't really matter. You can adjust this however you'd like. the only downside here is that pretty much no matter what, month to month, you will have to change out the sticker here because they're just images, right? You can't change these colors, but they're kind of nice to have as placeholders. So again, that's up to you. You could leave them out completely, but I like to leave them in because then I'm able to go through and adjust like the text and the colors without having to worry, I guess, too much about re-adding things. I don't know. It's just clearer to me if I have these there and I can just replace them. So I do that in all of my videos. You would have seen me do the replacement. This is just how I created the element prior to the replacement. So let's go ahead and grab our text. And this is top 3 priorities. And we're just gonna turn on text boxes only for now. And you can just put them there. And of course, this also means you could change things like however you want them to be, however you want to customize them. And so this one would be my to-do list. Let's make that a capital D. And you can make the size bigger, you can make the size smaller. Again, fully customizable. Let's come here and say future tasks. Again, you can put whatever kind of fun language you want to. Future tasks. And let's make sure this is center aligned. And put this here. And then like, I don't know, you could call it like future me problems or something. Anyway, this one's gratitude. And yeah, again, categorize this however you'd like. Whatever works for you in your planning. Just gonna color this and I'm gonna change this to white. But again, I changed this depending on what my color palette is. You just couldn't really see the black text on the navy here. And so I just thought for the ease of things for now, we'll just do it this way. Then usually what I end up doing is I make sure that my color matches whatever this sticker color is. So I'm not gonna go through and do that right now because I know what I do, but it's just helpful to have that. And then I'll put in some extra stickers here, some extra stickers here. I'll put something up here. And now if I want to, I could go back to that weekly design and I can use my lasso tool with handwriting on and I can just select this and I can copy it, come back to the second and I can just paste that little block there. And now that's all set and it's good to go. And I can make sure everything is on here and I can save this as an element. And that just really simplifies the whole process for me. So then every single month I have everything that I need in this go-to folder and it makes things super, super duper easy. Okay, so the very last thing that I am going to show you guys in today's video is I'm just going to mention something that I did a long time ago, and this is one of my favorite little lettering hacks. Was I basically just drew a square and then I filled it in. So it was a lot easier to fill in with the brush tool, I won't lie. So that is just nice because it's pressure sensitive. So when you're close to the edge, you can press lightly. And then as you get further away from the edge, you can use more pressure and it'll fill a lot faster. But my goal is always to kind of do this in one stroke if you can. So just try not to lift up your pen. And that's just gonna make things easier when it comes to erasing. So I saved this as an element. I know this seems a little bit silly, but I'll just save this as an element, put it in my go-to. And this is nice because anytime that you want to do some lettering, now I can just come in and I can add in this. So I've got 2 letters here, yay. Obviously this doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because there aren't very many words that are just 2 letters, but let's use the word at, I guess. And you'll just come in here with your eraser, turn on your precision eraser and you'll just erase away and you can adjust the size, like whatever works, and you get these really fun block letters. So that would be like our A, and then you can erase away this part for a T, and if you need to get closer you can just zoom in and we'll just try to do it fairly evenly on the other side. But it's kind of funky, so they're quite forgiving letters too. And yeah, you just erase away. And I think I will kind of round this out a little bit, but you don't have to. Completely up to you. You can just give some fun character to a lot of letters. You could even if you wanted to. I mean, there's so much that you could do with just using these blocks as a base. And I'll just help you, get creative in your planning. So just have some fun, play around, and that little block is a major time saver. Just put in however many you have for all the letters in the word and then have fun. Like I said, just be silly, have a good time. Okay, and then the very, very last thing, the rest I'm gonna put in another video, but this will get you through the basics. We're just going to come to the first page of the month and we're going to scroll to our habit tracker. I never show this on this channel and I very rarely use it anymore. I used to use it all the time, but now I get so creative with my like layouts that I usually like will track habits or something somewhere else. But if you wanted to use this habit tracker, you could. And what I would like to do, like I usually color these in one by one, but the easiest thing for me to do is to make an element. So I again use that highlighter tool. And the reason I use the highlighter tool is because then I can see these boxes like come up. So if I'm just filling it in on my own, I might use the pen tool. But if I'm using the highlighter tool, basically what I'll do is I will just very, very, very carefully fill all of this in, try to be as close to the edge as possible. And this is also forgiving because it puts it like behind the black like text and stuff that exists on here. And basically what I'll do is I'll just save this as an element, and we're just gonna add it as an element to our go-to. And then basically no matter what the day is, what I can do is just grab my element, I can come in and fill this in. Sometimes it may take a little extra rotating or resizing because different angles are going to be a little bit harder, but you can pretty much get it to fit anywhere pretty well if you just mess with it. And then come in with your precision eraser, and I always erase away this top part, and I leave this top part there just in case things are a little finicky and I need a little like extra wiggle room when coloring in my habits or when like doing that rotating. Just gives me that extra space just in case I need it. So I'll just erase it with the precision eraser after. And then I'll take a look and I'll be like, oh, I did the habit in this row. Great. I didn't do this one. So then I'll erase this away. And I just find this so much easier than like trying to fill all of them in and color them all in. And I'm more inclined to keep up with tracking my habits if I use a little hack like this. So let's say I didn't do this one either. So effectively, like that's what I would do. That's how I would fill in the whole month, just day by day, adding in that little sticker and erasing away the ones that I didn't do. Just the fastest thing that I found works for me. And for me, in order to like track things and do what I want to do, I have to make it as painless as possible. It's the same with using my planner. It needs to be cute and fun and exciting, but it also needs to be painless. So that's why I do all the things that I do. Anyway, I know today's video is super long. If you're still with me, go ahead and drop some kind of silly emoji in the comment section. I know it was a lot, and I also realized that most of this is only going to apply to people who like haven't really been around, but the next time that I do one of these element videos, it's going to be a little bit more creative use of elements as opposed to like the basics that I use all the time. So definitely tune in for that. It'll probably be a few months out because I have a lot of fun holiday content that I want to do, but I definitely wanted to make sure that I was getting the element basics video out right away because obviously I do my plan with me's constantly, and I want you guys to know how to keep up if I'm going to be doing any of these time-saving elements. So that is all for today. I'm so excited to share some more videos with you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them and help in any way possible. Anyway, that's all for now. I will see you guys in my next video. Love you. Bye.